All right, let's talk about something in the Agile world that trips a lot of people up: story points.
Why are we so bad at estimating how long something will take? You say a task will take 10 hours and somehow it ends up taking 20. Well, the thing is, we naturally tend to think about the best case scenario.
And here's the big mental shift you have to make. A story point is not about time at all. It's an abstract number that represents the total effort involved. Let's break down the 3 key ingredients that make up every story point estimate.
Think of a story point as a cocktail of 3 different elements.
First up, the amount of work. I mean, think about it. Building a web page with 100 different fields is just, well, it's more stuff to do than building a page with one single field. Simple as that. More volume equals a bigger story point number.
Okay, ingredient number 2 is complexity. And this is totally different from the amount of work. This is all about how hard the work is. Just displaying a line of text on a screen, super low complexity. But writing some tangled algorithm to process financial data, that could be just a few lines of code, but wow, is it complex?
And the last piece of this puzzle is risk and uncertainty. This is where you factor in all the what-ifs. Are the requirements kind of fuzzy? Is the team working with a brand new technology they've never seen before? Any of those question marks adds risk, and that bumps up the story point estimate to give the team some breathing room.
We're going to use a super simple example to show you how this relative sizing thing actually works in practice. So picture this. You've got 3 chores to do around the house. First, wash a single cup. Second, mow the lawn. And third, clean out the entire garage. We all know, just by looking at that list, that these are not created equal, right? The effort is wildly different.
Now here's how an Agile team would tackle this. First, they'd set a baseline. They'd look at the list and say, okay, washing a cup is the easiest thing here. Let's call that a 1-point story. From there, everything is a comparison. So mowing the lawn, that's way more effort. Maybe a 5? And cleaning the entire garage? Oh man, that's a huge job full of surprises. That feels like a 13. See? The key is, we're not talking about hours, we're talking about how much bigger one task feels compared to another.
And that right there brings us to the fundamental difference, the real shift in thinking for a lot of people.
When you put them side by side, you can really see the difference. Story points, they're all about relative effort. It's a team decision, and it totally embraces the fact that you don't know everything. Hours, on the other hand, that's an absolute measure of time, usually coming from one person, and it kind of assumes you know exactly how things will play out. You're shifting the question from how long will this take me to how big is this for us?
Let's dive into why this actually matters so much.
For one, the estimate isn't tied to just one person. It doesn't matter if your most senior developer or a junior dev is on the task. A 5-point story is a 5-point story. This also helps the team track their velocity. Basically, how many points they can get done in a typical work period. That makes planning for the future way more reliable. And maybe most importantly, it just accepts the reality that complex projects have unknowns. It builds that uncertainty right into the plan.
And this is how it all comes together in practice. So way up high during planning, a big feature, a user story, gets a story point estimate, like an 8. It's an abstract guess. But then, when the team is actually ready to start the work, that's when they break that 8-point story down into small, concrete tasks. And at that point, they might use hours to plan their day or week. So think of it this way. Story points are for the big picture, for forecasting. Hours are for the here and now, for getting it done.
The magic of story points isn't really about landing on the perfect number. It's about the conversation the team has to get to that number. The goal isn't a perfect estimate, it's a shared understanding. And that shared understanding is what truly helps teams succeed. Something to keep in mind for your next project.